William Wagner down here in Santa Barbara with an issue dealing with your taxes and less services. Has to do with the county pension funds. What would you think of $1 billion? $1 billion apparently is missing. What would you say if they cut your services and raised your taxes to make up for $1 billion that's unaccounted for? Would that interest you? Larry Mendoza is here with me. And Larry, tell me what you found. How did you come up? How did you discover this?
I was just looking at the compound averages over the 24-year period with the money that was being paid in, and just mathematically, nothing seemed to add up. 2 plus 2 wasn't equaling 4. And I did more research and found some more complicated issues, but I think today we're just going to break it down in a real simple form as to why the Santa Barbara County Employees Pension System doesn't appear to have a deficit of $2 billion that they're trying to deal with.
So they're claiming they have a deficit of $2 billion, and you're saying?
Not so. That they should have a surplus. What they're claiming is $1 billion underfunded right now. Over the next 20 years, they've made some adjustments to the unfunded side and will still end up at $1 billion underfunded after 20 years. Over the next 20 years, the contribution rate and the rate to the unfunded side will actually exceed the normal contribution rate. So we're actually funding the pension of the 3,600 employees today as if we had 7,200 employees. Twice, we could, if you were working right now, you would have 2 pensions at the end of the 20-year term. That's how much money we're paying into it. That just does not make sense.
So if the money's not there, where's the money?
That's what we have to find out, because in 1995-96, we have one presentation of values given by the county. And then in 1996-97, the values were retroactively altered. They were actually, the values were shortened, or they were 100% funded, went to 67% funded, back to 1986. So that's what I'm going to try to show you here is where all the changes in the things came.
Okay, what's the first thing we want to look at?
How much money the pension's been earning on the investment returns for the last 24 years.
Okay, show me that.
Just this June, in the 2011 valuation, we have a document here that says the 24-year compound average for the Santa Barbara County pension is 8.5%. The assumption rate over that same period they were shooting for was only 8% on a 24-year average. So we've beaten it by 0.5%. So that's one on the positive side. That's going to make it hard to have a deficit. Now here comes the second part.
Of June 30th, 2011.
Correct.
And you've got the sheets here, Exhibit 7B, and you're saying the numbers don't add up.
No, I'm saying that that's a great number.
The numbers add up.
Yes, the number's a great number. We shouldn't have a deficit.
So we don't have a deficit.
Well, let's go to the second part. Now I have a 2009 document that is the history cost of the pension to Fruita County, and it's showing the normal contribution rate, and then the contribution rate to the unfunded side of the pension, the future obligation. Okay. They are overfunding the pension by 55% for the last 24 years to make up for the unfunded side, yet we're still at $1 billion underfunded today. So we have 24 years of earning 8.5%, 24 years of overfunding it, 55%, and we're coming up with a deficit. Now here's the problem. Documents from Wall Street and the State Controller's Office that says in 1986 we were 102% funded.
What?
So
we're 102% funded.
If you were 102% funded, you overfunded your contributions by 55%, and you over-earned your assumption rate, how can you currently have a deficit?
That's a good question. I'd like to know.
Okay, so let's go to the next part. Go back to that 100% funding. I went and paid money to the State Controller's Office to get archived pension reports that go back to 1978. I wanted to have all my data in a row. I want to start with a good foundation of what I'm trying to do here. So in 1986, 1987, 1988, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 1995, all the pension data the controller has shows the pension was 102% funded in 1986. It was 92% funded in 1988. So we got 10, 11 years of documentation showing the pension was one way. Then all of a sudden, in In 1996, 97, the numbers change. For now, this is showing 1988, 67% funded. It was 92. 1990, 64% funded. Who retroactively changed the pension 1/3 the value? Devalued it 1/3.
Well, shouldn't there be don't they have an external auditor that comes in and checks this?
Well, that's the crazy thing, because I contacted the state controller's office and spoke with Terry McGuire, who's in charge of the $450 billion for the state funds, CalPERS and the university one. And at first he said, I will review it. Sounds like you have something here. I'll go to the legal department and see what we can do. And after about 10 days, he didn't want to help me no more. So, but what he did is he sent me his emails that he put within his office saying, how do I explain the retroactive devaluation of the pension? And they came up with something and in his own offices, but you didn't answer his question. How did the pension get devalued after 11 years?
Is it possible they invested in real estate that's depreciated in value?
Well, no, because you run a current year on values. You wouldn't go back and change 11 years. You would just go, the new year would lose money.
Well, if you lose money, I mean, did it just evaporate somewhere or what?
That's what we don't understand, because when you look back at that 2009 cost sheet, they do run a total of unfunded amount, okay? So for 1986, they're saying the unfunded balance was $112 million, okay? And that was 33% unfunded. The problem is, the pension value at that time was only worth $225 million. So that would actually be more like a 50% funded ratio. So when they put in their lies and altered it, they didn't keep with the math. And I know that's a little difficult to understand, but the math isn't lining up, and that's all I can tell. The unfunded report in 2009 isn't possible. That amount isn't possible at that funding ratio. So I don't know how they're going to do it. But here's the problem with this.
Did you have a statistician or a mathematician go over these numbers for you?
No, I used to be in real estate, involved in the mortgage side of real estate, internal Western United States sales rep for AccuPrime back in the 90s and stuff.
So you've got some background in looking in these numbers.
Looking at the numbers. But here's the problem. Again, if we started at 100% funded, beat our assumption rate, and been overfunding, we cannot have a deficit. But what does that mean to us today? That was 1986, Larry, so what's the problem? The problem is the unfunded amount, again, the unfunded amount is going to be over-contributed beyond the normal contribution rate.